we have Necro, we have Mitch. Mitch looks shocked, disbelief.
Well, no.
How are we feeling?
I'm just so surprised that so many of you are on the Florida Mayhem train, because the Glads have been a real problem for the Mayhem for this entire season, actually, not counting the Pro-Am, right? In like the head-to-head between those two teams, Rose, I don't know how you feel about this, but the Glads have just looked a lot cleaner against a sometimes more erratic play style, I guess, of the Florida Mayhem.
I would agree with that one. I think that the Gladiators have shown such strong looks the entirety of the season so far, and I feel like when you take a look at their most recent encounters against the Florida Mayhem, they've just always got the upper hand. I think when it came down to that 3-2, even for the first time that they met each other in the regular season, it all came down to map pool for why the Florida Mayhem were able to even take those 2 maps off the Gladiators.
Right, great point. And that, I guess, pseudo-random element kind of been eliminated here in a loser pick format, first to 3. And yeah, make no mistake, this is mid-season madness, attendance on the line. There's a lot of conversation about, I guess, the Mayhem riding some momentum, feeling warmed up. You can see Merritt there, trying to take a few deep breaths. And I know perhaps people are a little bit lower on the Gladiators after what we saw against the Boston Uprising, Rose, but I'm more of the mind that the Uprising are just a different beast at the moment.
They really are. I mean, they did bring out such a strong, clean dive, and maybe that's the one hesitation that I have for giving the Gladiators such a clean 3-0 sweep, and might I give them 1, maybe 2 maps like the Desk has, because of the fact that Florida Mayhem, their strongest composition is also the dive. Someone's Winston has been so strong when you take a look at how they were able to handle the Justice earlier today. You look at how they were able to beat down the Shock yesterday. It was all about those dives and clean initiations. And someone also brought out the Ramatra Brawl that I felt like didn't look too bad either.
So we need to put that under the microscope again here in this first map of the series of Florida Mayhem's proficiency in these rushdown compositions. It will be, of course, very similar looks from these squads, but you'll note the Moira Lucio here from the Florida Mayhem. The composition that really favors a shorter fight, the shock and awe factor. They're going to need to make that work here and get an early edge on the Gladiators.
I mean, we've seen just how much work Moira can do in a small room, especially when you're going to get so close to them. Look at that. Florida Mayhem making a beeline for the Gladiators.
Yeah, instantly Yaki has to go into ice block here. This initial, I guess, thrust from the Florida Mayhem is pretty hard to deal with. You saw that the amplification, or rather the immortality field get deployed there by the Gladiators to try and just hold off against the initial wave, but they still crumble. They lose a key play here. And I feel like this is how Florida want to play. They don't want to allow the Gladiators to get in position, especially not to set up this Sojourn.
Well, I mean, we heard that from Checkmate in that post-match interview, that this is how the Florida Mayhem want to try to take this map from the Gladiators. Got to play aggressive and got to start initiating these fights. And that's why I'm looking at RuPaul right now, working up to that Coalescence to kick off this next one.
It's a pretty good off angle there from Kevza. And he gets to throw, of course, in some AoE, pressure down the clumped up Florida Mayhem, because the Gladiators know that this is how Florida want to play. They want to stick together, but Merritt gets caught a little bit too far from his front line. It'll be traded, though, as someone's able to draw a bead on Yaki, but that's the Coalescence coming out here. Of course, the first of those support ultimates to be deployed. There's going to be an instant amplification matrix, but Checkmate was ready for it. At least somewhat. Someone able to play in the front line here under that May wall thrown up by Yaki, but Florida still have control. Lastro and Kev still want to try and cap it. They are severely outnumbered.
Look at that. Someone's even able to come back with the Ramatra too, with RuPaul at his back. That's going to be the Gladiators scurrying with their tails way between their legs. They weren't able to get nearly as much done as they would have liked there, and it was just the Coalescence the Florida Mayhem were able to capitalize on to be able to keep control of this point.
And the
Gladiators, they are able to come back in with a lot, but yeah, they lost the Ant Matrix.
Well, and Lastro used it on the high ground for himself, maybe just the extra healing apparently, but very caught off from the rest of his team. Kevster coming in with overclock now, but he's going to be forced away by his annihilation. Both Lucios go for sound barriers, and RuPaul is encroaching on his next Coalescence. Again, Merritt gets caught out by the Sojourn, and this time the Gladiators look to have more success, at least in the start of the fight. But again, a lot of annihilation usage there, maybe making it hard for the Mayhem to close the gap. RuPaul still wants to commit the Coalescence here as Checkmate goes into ice block. By a little bit of time, Lastro's living very dangerously here, and Chorok finishes the job from that high ground. The Mayhem have not given up control yet. Yeah, they lost Merritt at the start of the fight, but he's well and truly returned and ready to dish the damage out. This is looking very dire for the Gladiators now. Yaki already taken down again.
I think this just might be a full point capture. Gladiators might sneak it out from underneath the Mayhem, but look at how fast they're coming back to the back of the point.
This is dangerous. Death Blossom here from Merritt. Very scary prospect late in the fight when your healing resources are already heavily taxed. And over time, it's going to be an immortality field to keep Yaki on the point for some time, but it's really just a stall here. 4 final blows and 1 death for someone, and the Florida Mayhem come in hot off their previous series.
That was such a clean round win for the Florida Mayhem. They even were able to take some of those fights down a member of their team. They was very smart use of their ultimates there. Even RuPaul throwing out those coalescences, honestly a little bit greedy. When they were down few members, Florida Mayhem were able to bring it back off the back of that particular ultimate. And now I wonder what the Gladiators are going to be able to do to adjust to that.
1 minute. That's all it takes for RuPaul to build a coalescence on Moira. So it's 50% quicker than any other support ultimate in the server right now. And that is not only because RuPaul is having a solid performance, but it's got a whole lot to do with Moira just having pretty quick time to charge ult. But having an extra coalescence potentially over like a longer round, if it had gone that way, would have been devastating enough as it is. So great start for the Mayhem. Big switch on comp. This says to me, I mean, we see like the Brig, the Ana, they really want this high ground at some stage.
They're going to grab that high ground at least from Merit, trying to jostle that away from the Gladiators. But look at the composition the Gladiators came out with. The Junker Queen. What a great way to be able to shut off the healing there from the Florida Mayhem.
Trying to keep the high ground for the time being, right? Gladiators even playing on that sort of, middle podium. Eventually they're going to be forced to drop down against the can't quite slide away in time. Now the Sojourner's out of the mix. He can start to pressure this backline down much more comfortably. Lastro, though, able to find someone. Great pressure here on that Winston. The Junker Queen also giving someone plenty to think about. But checkmate is unchecked for the time being as the Gladiators are down a whole DPS. No one capturing the point quite yet here. And the reinforcement of someone and Kevster respectively could be a difference maker.
Oh, watch out for Dante. Dante's getting really low. Needs to get some healing from the team. But Kevster is able to keep him alive.
Kevster coming back there, I mean, straight away, his impact being felt. The Gladiators able to have a pretty long engagement there. Finding the Winston pick-off early means that, I guess the Mayhem can't really decide who to dive on. So much hinges on checkmate. Merit maybe combining, pressuring backliners down, but losing your Winston early, not a great look.
It took really long for them to set up as well, with Merit trying to get into a position to get a hack and someone waiting for cooldowns, as well as just being topped up enough to be able to initiate that dive. And look at this, look how long they're taking now as well, trying to figure out whether or not they want to go to this middle pillar, go back to behind the point. They need to get Gladiators off of this high ground.
Yeah, Los Angeles really want to deny it. I don't know necessarily if their comp outside of the Sojourn cares so much about it. Eventually Kevster drops down, slides around, and still able to find kills anyway. Yaki's forced to recall there. We've seen the Kitsune Rush deployed here by Lastro. That Bionade was almost deadly from RuPaul. 3 separate people. Speaking of anti-heals though, here comes a Rampage. Torin not going to benefit from his own running for the time being. And this is a dangerous spot, but that's an EMP from Merit here. Kevster, nothing you can do about it. No escape, and Merit makes sure to chase Lastro down. The Mayhem start a little slow in this round, still trying to force this signature dive composition, but now they're going to have a chance to build up some percentage.
Now that they've been able to get the control of the point as well, they can get set up either aggressively towards main, or they can try to take that high ground away from the Gladiators. It'll take some time for the Glads to be able to get there too. But look at Merit. Just trying to get a little bit more charge for the EMP. That was such a critical ultimate in that last fight for the Mayhem to wrestle back control.
Oh, RuPaul's so low. Like, there's so much pressure right now. Able to be kept alive by the heal pack, but Chorong's going to have to give up his life in order to do so. So the Mayhem, as you point out, Rose, they do transition immediately to try and take the high ground for their supports, but that's exactly where the Gladiators go to. They make a beeline for that high ground to deny it away and give Kevster a perch. Still, the Mayhem are in control right now, but Funny Astro barely gets away with his life. Someone, though, chased by Kevster. The railgun nipping at the heels. Chorong here just forced to try and stall this point out a little bit further now for the Mayhem as the Gladiators move in force.
Look, this is why you can see the Sojourn choice really paying off dividends here for the Gladiators. May not have worked so well in Gardens, knowing that you have a lot of natural architecture to be able to play around, but Kevster has so many off angles he can go for here, and these picks have been huge to open up these fights. 7
final blows, 3 deaths for Kevster. Sojourn, the difference maker. I mean, I guess it's pretty elementary that it can punish a Reaper-based composition, but even here against a Sombra Tracer, Kevster finding some big kills. It looks like he's far from done. It's time for Overclock now. In the corner, I saw Merit hiding there, but he's not able to completely kill. Someone gets a nano boost here. The Gladiators are jockeying back very quickly. They don't want to tangle with that Winston right now, but they wait it out. The nano boost expires here. The Mayhem have to make another push for the point.
Oh, it's going to be tough, especially when Lastro is ready with this Kitsune Rush. No matter how the Florida Mayhem approach, you can just lay that down.
Kitsune Rush here, gonna be huge. Dante caught in that EMP commanding shout, over shield stripped away with the follow-up. It's gonna be here somewhere. 3 players hit with a bionic grenade from Rupal, and only one of them is picked up, but Dante might be the most important kill to take here. Yaki punishing Chorok. Lastro almost got away there, but someone is able to pursue here, and Checkmate now gonna draw a bead on Kevster. This will be Florida getting back in the nick of time. But they spend so much, right? They open that fight up with a nano boost that is kited by the Gladiators, but a big 3-player bio nade from Rupal. We've seen it from Twilight. We've seen it from other top-level Ana players. It's making a huge difference against these comps.
It really is, especially when the Gladiators are trying to play a little bit more clumped up together. They're actually going to have Kevster switch over from the Sojourn to the Tracer, so a little bit more synergy there from the back line, but Lastro goes down before they can even make it back.
Yeah, that's the initiative taken by the defensive dive team, right? It's a hack and a follow-up there from someone. Very quickly, taking a support out of the mix, and this is how you can accrue some percentage of build a buffer. But they lose someone. Lingers a little bit too close, apparently, to Dante. And now the Mayhem have to try and play for time. They do have high ground for Rupal. He does have a nano boost. There's a lot of stall packed into those 2 factors. But right now, it's Checkmate just trying to stay scarce on the point here. Mayhem almost let that one flip back here. It's going to have to be a good nano boost. Someone is back to receive it.
4 ults.
Here we go. Funny Astro forced to skitter away. The sound barrier with very fortuitous timing here. And here comes a rampage from Dante. He already takes Rupal down with a knife of all things. What a connection. Astro will fall. Someone transitioning seamlessly now into the Primal Rage. It's going to be 2 kills for the Mayhem in this fight. Dante getting picked off awfully early again. Yaki hoping to make his 2nd kill count, but Checkmate's already dealt with Funny Astro. There's no supports left. It's really just Yaki right now, and he can't make it. The Florida Mayhem. It's a back and forth fight, especially on this 2nd round as they switch to a dive comp. But the dive comp prevails, and they'll start at a lead in this series.
Looks like the Florida Mayhem may have taken a little bit of time to figure out how they wanted to engage into the Junker Queen composition coming out from the Gladiators. So that's why we ended up seeing them maybe give up about 40% of the point before they were able to take it back. But that ultimate economy, they got 4, what? The EMP also came online during that last fight too? 5 ults better win you that fight.
Yeah, I really feel like they made it pretty hard for Dante in that 2nd round especially. And Florida, look, they're ticking the boxes right now and they're passing the checks because we see them run into a rush matchup, but they bring that slight variation, right? The high sort of burst damage, maybe less sustained healing over the course of a long fight here. And now they really punish Dante, right? Dante getting involved in some of these fights, but most of the time being ignored or rather Mayhem trying to play around him as much as possible. And he has trouble getting into the front line and actually getting decent connection with those abilities.
Which is tough because you've got Funny Astro, one of the best Lucios in the league, that's really great at knowing when to try to speed in, when to disengage. You saw how the Gladiators were able to kite away from a lot of the incoming damage from the Mayhem, but Dante's got to start being a part of the conversation, and that's going to come down to some quick communication.
All right, well, first it was the Gladiators serving the 3-0 up to the Mayhem, but already we've seen that potential future subverted. Oasis goes the way of the pink, and Blizzard World will be the map selection for the Gladiators, map number 2, after the break.
Stunning Astro.
That is the delay tactics widely dealt
In a 4v5, oh, not quite so much anymore. Kevster dishing out the damage.
This is giving me vibes of Florida against the Atlanta Rain.
What?
That is dirty. A rough return here, just kind of getting bullied.
Oh,
That was a good shot.
Oh, wave hello, maybe goodbye to the rest of your team, Decay, because Lastro's on the field. Nano Zen just to keep him alive.
rolling, trying to keep everybody alive. And Hydron, oh boy, punched into oncoming traffic. Dante shuts him down.
Well, if you watched the Glads yesterday in their matchup against the Uprising, you would be forgiven for expecting to see them at least attempt a Winston-based dive comp on Oasis, but that was not the case. They bring the Junker Queen in, which is something we've seen from them before on Ilios, for example, but it doesn't work out for them. They do get outdone by someone diving on that Winston, so we choose Blizzard World. Now, small sample size, to be fair, but a pretty comfortable map for a team like the Florida Mayhem, who often excels at playing these dive-based compositions. And then we're talking the Break Rows, and we're starting to sort of theorycraft a little bit, maybe expecting the Gladiators to play Diva, potentially. Some teams have tried to make that pick work on this map, especially defensively.
Absolutely. We've definitely seen a few teams, such as Vancouver Titans, try to bring out the Diva. It can really play well on the high ground, especially if you're not confident in something like the Winston, being able to beat enough of that frontline pressure. So the Diva, you get to play a little bit more reactively. Got the defense matrix as well that you can swivel to make sure that you are keeping your backline safe. And that might just be a weak point that the Gladiators are noticing that the Florida Mayhem are trying to target down, is Lastro and Babel, especially if we are going to see Babel switching into the roster. That might be a static backline.
It definitely tells me it's Brigana, most likely here. Florida Mayhem, you expect them to play a very similar look. The Brigana, very comfortable composition for them. Rupal, pivotal, rather, on a previous map when it came to landing a lot of those multiplayer biotic grenades that really gave the Mayhem a good reason to start the fight. Mera on the Ashe, one of the players that will go to her on occasion. Not every team sort of preferring that. But, I mean, this is a big no Kai subbed in here for the Gladiators. Kev still will remain in the roster alongside Yaki. It says Sombra Tracer most likely, even if we see a Widow play with this Life Weaver at the beginning of the round.
Yeah, I was a little worried questioning that as well, just kind of knowing that Blizzard World is one of those maps that you could play like an Ashe or a Sojourn. Maybe you would end up seeing Kai getting switched in for that particular reason, but I think
they're baiting.
Kevster missed the boat on that one.
I think they baited the flower, because you're starting to look for it now, so like you do like a fake flower and then you'll grapple on. Anything to get an edge.
Sneaky, sneaky.
I also could be giving it way too much credit, but that's fine. Okay, we actually have the Sigma set up here for the Mayhem. So they play this also on Junkertown, right? On that, especially on that first stage, really long sight lines. So both, I mean, very, very static comp from the Mayhem. Really trying to get value from Merit, slow the pace down.
Oh, look at this, though. Kevster's actually going to be playing the Genji. So now I worry a little bit that Merit's going to be very vulnerable to a dive, knowing that Yaki has hacked him first, and Kevster could get some clean follow-up there. So the Florida Mayhem are going to have to be careful about this, especially because someone doesn't have any escape mechanisms.
Yeah, you still have to reposition there because being stood on that side of the bubble makes it hard to heal him up. Okay, Merit able to deal with Dante. So the tip of the spear is broken for the Gladiators now. Dante able to find Chorong, but really needs to come away with more than that to have a convincing start to the fight. And Sigma can be pretty easily, I guess, ignored to a great degree by Winston, right? Just kind of goes overhead. So I got my eyes on someone here to see how he keeps attention coming his way.
I think you just play a little bit far forward and then you have the ability to back up. You don't have the Lucio as a part of the composition, so it might be a little bit more difficult to try to kite away from that damage. But if you're able to play distraction long enough, then it allows for Merit and Checkmate to really do what they need to do in the backline. Hey, look at this! Checkmate did so much, he already has a pulse bomb. And I guess RuPaul's gonna get a... Wow. How did that happen?
Well, this is such an all-in comp for the Gladiators. There's no one to keep Checkmate in check at like mid-range, right? So, you know, Kevster won't be dueling with the Tracer. Kevster goes where Dante does, which means that Checkmate doesn't really have like a mark, so to speak. He could probably be a bit more aggressive, just trying to put pressure down.
Yeah, but how did RuPaul kill Yaki?
You threw a bionic grenade.
That's what I was looking at, and I went, huh?
There's a lot going on there.
Lucy and Kevster, no interest in checkmate right now, right? Pressure maybe down someone. It's easy to farm up play, just pressuring the Sigma here. Bubble gets taken down by the pulse bomb that checkmate was able to build up here. Primal range has to be used for Dante. You found 2 quick kills. Awoken is Kevster. Merit having to keep a respectful distance. Oh, at mid-range is where Yaki is able to bring him down. Discord Orb assisting there to some degree, you'd say. But checkmate's still a problem, right? Uncontested, Dante forced to run off here. And the Gladiators push very deep into Mayhem territory, but no capture progress on A.
Yeah, it's exactly what you were just talking about. Checkmate not really having anybody on the Gladiators to mark him, and Kevster not going to switch over just yet. Has the blade almost ready to go, but I think this is not great for the Gladiators right now. They don't have the nano boost. Babel used that in the last fight. This is just a vanilla blade, and I don't think that's going to be enough to make it through the Mayhem comp.
Kevster lining up for it here. Eyes for the high grab, but needs to wait for Dante to have his cooldowns off the rotation. And then can dive on in here. Checkmate is 5-0 right now. Completely untouched and tearing strips off of the Gladiators. Here's the blade. Merit not able to get the coach gun and knock him back. And Kevster finds 2 on that high ground. So nano or otherwise, Kevster gets in there and gets the job done.
I'm happy to stand corrected on that one. Kevster proving me wrong. And that's going to be a way for the Gladiators to open up this fight and this first checkpoint. But it still remains that the ultimate rotation for the Gladiators right now just isn't super strong. I think that's why we're going to see Kevster go back to spawn and change. And that's going to be the Tracer now. So full dive activated here for the Gladiators with the Tracer Sombra, like you were saying, might happen going over to Blizzard World.
Yeah, so now obviously checkmate is much more contested. A little bit harder to just walk up to the back line and put pressure down. But the Gladiators are playing a Zen composition, right? Probably in anticipation again of trying to shut down these slow-moving Sigma setups. Against the Winston, probably not going to feel as good for Lastro. I'm a little surprised to see him on this still, to be honest, but I know that Zen can be very, very deadly, but needs to watch that flank of pressure that the Mayhem look to impose.
Yeah, Zen is just such a juicy target for a hack or checkmate coming over there. So they do switch over to the Sombra.
That's a Nano Jax. That is
just a quick
brutal.
tickle, you know.
Yeah, I mean, Nano'd Lastro, and Lastro just disintegrates. Very heavy pressure from the Florida Mayhem here. And again, Rose, they've been great all throughout these knockouts at playing a defensive dive comp and being the first to start the fight. Having their pieces in position. This is a comp that's not like operating off the Sombra hack to start the dive. They're trying to actually go in with like Bionade or something else, but Florida is so good at taking the initiative defensively.
Oh, look at the dynamite damage. That's another great way. Oh, they gotta run.
Yeah, another big bio.
Gladiators.
That's scary stuff. RuPaul in a pretty safe position here as well. Spreading a little bit away from Chorong, so both can't be caught in the one EMP. That's really important. Lastro just can't do a thing there. There's just nothing you can do. There's dynamite ticking. Bob is in play. Someone is diving in. And there's a nano being used here. So I don't know. I'm not feeling the Zen. You know, not a huge fan right now.
I'm gonna be in strong agreement with you there. The Zenyatta just feels like it's lackluster because the fact that they're missing out on these picks. The reason why you have the Zenyatta in the first place is to be able to give over those orbs of Discord and be able to follow up. But the Gladiators are just taking too long. The pace that the Florida Mayhem are setting with these fights is too fast that they have to rely on something like this EMP from Yaki to really get the job done. And they've got 30 seconds left.
Dante.
And
Unreal.
Dante's dead.
Yeah. Absolutely mauled there. Merit playing on the siege tank. This is a very aggressive spot for defenders to be, so you can see them oozing confidence right now. Recall forced here for the Gladiators. They've got 6 ultimates. They need to start a fight with his EMP post-haste. And it's going to be Yaki to try and catch both Chorong and RuPaul inside that. Chorong gets a rally off and it's all over for Yaki, so he's got to make this work, and he needs to be able to burn the Sombra down quick. Here comes the Winston. Dante not quite where he wanted to be, though he's put to sleep straight away. And the EMP, it just goes to waste. Dante gets caught by checkmate. Another successful pulse bomb stick, and the Gladiators are falling to pieces. That is not a good look for the attackers.
That is not good at all. This was their map pick. And they barely got the job done on that first point in overtime, and they couldn't even make it to the second checkpoint. A point that's supposed to thrive with the dive. Gladiators just couldn't get it done. I mean, even with an EMP.
But this is an allegation that's been leveled at the Gladiators already. Is your dive comp strong enough to stand up to the Florida Mayhem? Or the Boston Uprising, or whoever it may be? This is an issue. They come into that last five ultimates, the EMP has to come down. Like, there's a decent window for Yaki because there's no nano available for the backline of Florida, so you can't just like insta-save your brig. But there is a rally. Rupal also really nasty with the sleeps. Dante like flies overhead in Primal Rage, which I guess is fine. You really want something else with the Sombra to secure the kill after the EMP comes out. But everyone is just going in different directions at that point of the fight. It's a tough sell for me, this Gladiators dive comp. I'm not going to lie. No, that is not right. How?
That's how he died.
Bro, you can't tell me you meant to do that. That is bizarre.
That's what I saw come up at the kill feed that I went, how did that happen? I guess that's how. That's not good.
Yeah, I don't know how you didn't guess that, Rose.
You can't fall prey to that kind of stuff.
Checkmate is 9-1, Merit is 8-2. The Gladiators could not put pressure on either of those players. Here comes TP to send us forward. Checkmate on the Hanzo. Just a Sonic though, probably just a Scout. And we're back on the Tracer.
Yeah, so, I mean, the Gladiators are still going to stick to this dive, try to play it a little bit defensively, but to your point before that replay, that's maybe why we didn't see the dive on City Center. I was kind of thinking, well, maybe the Junker Queen, if they expected the Ramatra Brawl coming out from Florida Mayhem, and they might not feel confident enough to be able to run the dive into another strong dive team like Boston Uprising. That's a good start, though.
That's not bad. Hey, the attack is like you secure the trade for the Winston, of all things, which basically takes away the defender's ability to operate all as one, right? They don't have Winston to lead the charge here. Merit's able to find Lastro. This one is going to be over very quickly, Rose. This point is basically capped already.
Looked like it was starting so well, too, when Kepster was able to get such an early pick, but Florida Mayhem are on a tear right now. Even Dante's back, but he's just beating over his body.
Dante got slept by Rupal. Even though Rupal ended up getting eliminated there, stopping the Winston in his tracks, it was an easy target for the Mayhem to pounce on. From that point onwards, you just can't trade. You can't trade 1-for-1 defensively here. It just does not look good. All right, Dante's back once more, but that EMP is going to keep him grounded. No escape for the Winston now. And the rest of the Gladiators are about to be in very similar circumstances. We're going to have a point capture here and some stagger on these stragglers.
Ooh, that's so tough. What a tough position to be in if you're the Gladiators. You were hoping to get some stall there, buy yourself some time, maybe be able to come back in with something like Yaki's EMP or Kepster's Pulse Bomb, because both of those ultimates were right about to come online before they initiated that fight. But how could you have anticipated that Merit would have the EMP already? That was so quickly charged. And the Florida Mayhem are going to capitalize on that momentum moving forward by taking this high ground. And maybe even getting something done with Checkmate. Look at where he is.
There we go. That's the dive we're looking for. But the Pulse gets two Checkmate. Unbelievable. And he couldn't have asked for a better brace of targets. Lastro and Bubble blown to smithereens. And the Florida Mayhem barely breaking stride here. They're getting awful close to that final goal. Let's see how this gets played out.
He was sneaking. He was sneaking in the back line of these stairs. We could see that in the overhead. And then he just lands the stick.
The dive is so nice. Someone comes in there, and remember there's some knockback from the impact of Winston. They're not going anywhere. That is the kind of dive you need to see at this level. The Gladiators could not put it together even once on the attack. Here come the Mayhem now, looking to finish the job. We will have a couple of key ultimates up for both sides here. Dante crucially building into that primal. Okay, Pulse Bomb there, but Chorong is going to get the Nano Boost just to inoculate him from that. Going to be whipping it back and forth for the time being. The card almost got to the checkpoint amidst that flurry of fighting. But someone is quite low. He doesn't want to have to use his primal quite yet because he can't disrupt with it presently. Gonna be a regroup. Yaki just gets caught out. Oh man, this is over. This doesn't feel good at all. Kent is going to get the nano boost now from the high ground. You see Lastro trying to intervene somewhat, but the double bionic grenade is huge. Dante's got to get the heck out of dodge. Yes, he can wait on the high ground for a while, but the Mayhem are looking for their next target already, and it's Kepster. Here's the EMP to finish the job. And that is about as convincing as it gets right now. The Mayhem are the ones that deserve to make the mid-season madness. They're the better team right now, pound for pound.
They look so good at the moment. Look at that, the smiles, the happiness. This is the Florida Mayhem, the animated team that we have come to expect playing these dives. They look infinitely better today than they did in their first match in the knockouts versus the Gladiators. And that's from the pace that they're setting with these fights, making those initiations, and also playing such a strong defensive game, anticipating what the Gladiators are throwing their way.
15-1. That's the scoreline for Checkmate. At first, he's up against the Genji, so he's not being, not being coveted at all, not being contested in the 1-to-1. But it did not get any better for the Los Angeles Gladiators. The Florida are so coordinated, they're so clean on these dives. Even if someone just flying over the top, securing like a double pulse bomb kill, Checkmate's attach rate has to be in the stratosphere right now. Everything's starting to click for the Florida Mayhem. And I know that Jake brought up some concerns about them flagging, getting tired, but no, they seem ready to rumble.
They seem motivated. It's one map away from the Florida Mayhem making it to the mid-season, and that was just gross. These replays were disgusting.
Yeah, it's a bit of a gulf between these two teams right now, and the Gladiators, if they don't want a long break for the next couple of weeks, they better pull their socks up and show us something special on Shambali Monastery. The Florida Mayhem have found another gear, another level to rise to, and so far, they've left the Los Angeles Gladiators in their dust. 2-0 in the series already. Blizzard World, very convincing victory for the Mayhem, who again put their dive chops on show. Shambhali's Monastery comes up next, and hey, fair choice if you don't like playing Wizards, if you don't feel good at it, because I'll tell you, they don't look good at it, the Gladiators. An opportunity here to play something a little different.
I think the dive for the Gladiators just really isn't standing out as the best choice just because of how fast of fights the Florida Mayhem really are kind of putting the pressure onto the Gladiators. So I really like this map choice by them to be able to bring us to Shambhali Monastery. As you mentioned, get a chance to play something a little different here. Maybe expecting a little bit of Ramatra Brawl coming out from the likes of the Gladiators, but I wonder if it's going to be enough. Florida Mayhem kind of on point today, and their communication has been stellar to be able to make some big plays.
I'm ready for someone to play Ryan and Checkmate to play Bastion. I want to bring back, I want to honor the memory of Zephyr playing Bastion for the Florida Mayhem. Yep, I'd like that. That's on my list. You can disregard that if you like, but I'm saying, again, only the Boston Uprising seem to be game enough to go for that here, but unsurprisingly, so the Mayhem, we are going to once again get their take on the Rush comp, bros. It is that Lucio Moira look with the Reaper. It's a subtle difference, but they played out so differently on Oasis, that first map. Florida looked really good at it, even up against like a Soldier, something that, you know, in theory can punish these very close range front lines. Curious to see how it plays out here on a map that's going to be dynamic in terms of where the fights are actually occurring and not just around the 1 point.
Well, the second point is where I would expect that Sojourn would be a little bit tougher to play. But look at Merritt just in the mix already at the doors. This is going to be tough for the Gladiators to break through.
They do get there though. Merritt just, I mean, he starts off trying to fight Yaki, who is just being pocketed by Lastro by the looks of things, so shrugs off those first couple of shotgun blasts. And we do see this more, I don't know, this more in-your-face Florida brawl style get shut down very early. They make no changes though, so they definitely still believe in it.
You can still play this on first point. You've got a lot of buildings to be able to play around, and that's going to give you a lot of natural cover to be able to kite away from some of that damage from Kevster, so he's not as deadly. But someone already loses so much health there.
Dante also getting punished in the front line here. Okay, not great for Florida. Again, we've not really seen them be amazing on Shambhali Monastery. If you think back to the previous series, that was where the Justice were able to get a win here. And the Gladiators looking much, much, much cleaner here. This is a great sign from them. It's their take on the rush composition that we saw in Oasis. It's working really well. They haven't had to use any ultimates to sort of win these fights. And talk about how quickly Moira charges up that call. Yeah, Astro is well ahead in terms of ult charge here. So all good signs for the Glads.
Maybe Dante has Annihilation.
Will he pop it? That's the question. First, it's going to be Kevster. No, Chorong just making that pretty easy for Kev to line up there. And there's a feeling that the Mayhem probably just take the L here.
Gotta stay on your toes.
Now, no need to use any of these other ultimates. That is huge. This is... I got whiplash a little bit, Rose. The Gladiators now are just well and truly in control.
This is way better than the dive. I have to give credit where credit is due, that this is not the
bar was on the ground.
We've seen from the Gladiators.
The bar was on the ground, and they have taken a step over it. Excellent.
Well, that's at least a step in the right direction, so I gotta see what they're able to make do with here. And the fact that they were able to hold on to the Annihilation is a huge ultimate coming into this next choke point.
Now we're starting to see spend of these ultimates here. Funny Astro going to be opening up that sound barrier. Colossus Rupal gets, it gets that immortality field down at the very least here, but the Gladiators are unperturbed by this resistance being offered by the Florida Mayhem here. Again, with these fights dragging out a little bit more, you can really see the difference between an escort map and a control map in terms of how these compositions sort of look at it. The Florida Mayhem don't find a kill really early in the fight. Seems like they just get outpowered by sustained healing from Lastro, immortality field, all these stall mechanics the Gladiators have to set Kevster and co up for success.
Yeah, and Kevster's able to just perma-charge up those railgun shots as well, and he's been hitting those, so absolutely deleting people as soon as it's ready.
Okay, I like this. But hey, immortality fields, that is something the Baptiste brings you, but Dante far too far out of position there. It's an easy catch for the Florida Mayhem. Glads maybe just getting a little ahead of themselves there, but a good setup with the Maywall to make it very hard for Los Angeles to protect their front line.
That was great isolation from the Florida Mayhem to be able to push Dante into that corner, force out those cooldowns so quickly, and then be able to take control after that. No ultimates used there either. That's huge to be able to get Florida Mayhem back up into the economy. RuPaul's gonna have another Coalescence, so a nice straightaway for the Florida Mayhem to shoot down. You just have to be careful of Kevster, who could get free reign over this point, knowing that we do have the overclock available, and there's not too many places you can hide if the Gladiators are going to wrap around like this.
This is the best part of the map for Florida's composition. I don't think it gets any easier than this. So they need to make use of it. Look at the Gladiators. They take a fight with like the longest sightline that they can sort of put together on this point. I'd hope it's going to be enough. Chorong comes rattling past them with that sound barrier in play, and Merit strikes true. Going to be 2 for the repeat here. The Gladiators, for the second consecutive time, are going to be repelled. It's all these like switchbacks and tight turns, right, where hard for Kevster to line anyone up. Because Rose, after this, we got long sight lines, right? That last point's pretty open. I wouldn't like to be the team playing the Reaper Moira there.
I wouldn't either, but the fact that the Florida Mayhem were able to stop that overclock in its tracks, even when the Gladiators were setting it up for success. Sure, Florida Mayhem had to throw 3 ultimates at that fight, but they have these large area of effect ultimates coming up here with the Blizzard and the Annihilation, and that's why we see Gladiators try to go down main once again, because they don't have to play around that overclock.
Interesting, Yaki going to be defensively blizzarding here. Someone tries to push past his butt. He will be chilled to the bone. Yaki able to stop him in his tracks there. I guess that was the question. How do you not insta-lose to Blizzard? Maybe have one of your own in the later part of the fight. The answer is yes, because Chorong is deadly accurate. 3 kills for the Lucio. Make it 4. That's why he earns the big bucks.
Ooh, Lucio, it is Lucio O's for breakfast. Come on, Chorong, pop off. That was impeccable. I mean, the May Blizzard on top of that too. Chorong better be hitting those. I mean, they are frozen after all, but still.
We go from very congratulatory to like, well, actually, that's expected of you, so just do your job.
Hey, but he could have missed those shots. They could have not thrown the Blizzard in, and there could have been a miscommunication there, but it worked out for Florida.
Here's the Coalescence from RuPaul. This in and of itself is enough to send the Gladiators reeling backwards. Of course, when you follow it up with a Reaper Chaser, it's a pretty potent concoction. The Gladiators have lost 4 fights in a row. Their best chance, I think, was the fight just gone, but the Mayhem had no support ultimates to bring into it. Now Chorong's encroaching on yet another sound barrier, and he just pops this and they just run. The Mayhem figured it out.
This is so bad for the Gladiators. Funny Astro is 40% away to a sound barrier of his own, and if Kevster can't use this overclock, look at the switchback.
Chorong, his sound barrier only got one person. They actually pulled the Lucio off, and Chorong was so desperate to use his ultimate that he just pops it. And the rest of his team were inside the house, perhaps. They weren't in a position to benefit from it. What a crucial misstep for the Florida Mayhem. And what an incredible Maywall from Yaki to cut Chorong off from the rest of his team. Beautiful play. And the Gladiators have a chance to keep the ball and cart rolling.
I mean, look at this. Blizzard over the point. That's all you really need here, and Chorong doesn't have that sound barrier anymore.
Don't mess it up, Yaki. Good Blizzard. Someone checkmate. Bows gets a little frosty there. Mira wants to push ahead, but he knows the immortality field's going to be a problem. He just don't care about it. The lifesteal, decent. Lets him cut through Lastro, but now it's up to Chorong and RuPaul with the Coalescence in play. It's a 2 versus 4, though. Maywall comes up. RuPaul has no target except Yaki. Chorong trying to boop him into the line of sight of that Coalescence, but there's too many Gladiators players here. And Los Angeles will get themselves a time extension.
Oh, it's all gone wrong here for Mayhem.
They had it.
That should have been their point.
Oh, they had it.
That should have been their point.
Okay. I mean, it was a sick Maywall from Yaki, to be fair. Sometimes these errors are unforced. Sometimes they are forced, right? So, Florida Mayhem now.
Oh, for sure.
So, we were talking about this before, right? This part of the map, all of a sudden, these sidelines are so nice that the Mayhem have to play really close and deny these like open angles for Kevster to navigate.
That's why they're hugging the wall. They don't want to give Kevster those sight lines.
And he kind of still has the right to attack the corridor. Someone trying to block him in some way, but here's an annihilation. So the Maywall follow-up there was spectacular from Checkmate. No escape for Dante. Gladiators just have to take an L here. Concede that it's very hard for them to win a fight from this position. Come back for one more.
Wow. Mayhem bullied the Gladiators back into their spawn. They gotta be careful though, because here's where that problem comes back to bite them again. Kevster has an overclock online. If he's gonna be able to hit those shots, this could be a full map completion here for the Gladiators. So Mayhem have to play around this. They're coming up on a sound barrier. RuPaul does have a nano, but Kevster's got these sight lines.
Uncontested too. He's just doing exactly what he wants right now. He needs to hit his shots, to be fair. And his team's getting crunched in the hallway. The Mayhem chase the Gladiators in, and that gives enough time for Choron to build up the sound barrier. The Gladiators had an opening. Eventually, it is going to be closed. Blizzard thrown down. Funny Astro can't touch. And that's the end of the Los Angeles Gladiators run through this map. Not the prettiest, to be fair. And based on how strong they start at the beginning of this round, it's a wonder that the Mayhem stopped them from finishing the map at all.
Gladiators got the cart pretty far. So Florida Mayhem still have a lot of work cut out for them to be able to take this map and the series. So I think that gives Gladiators a good fighting chance to be able to bring us to another map. But they've got to clean up some of these initiations. It felt like they're just taking too long, and Florida Mayhem are beating them to the punch. Kevster playing the Sojourn does require a bit of setup there for Dante to be able to create that space. And if he can't do that, he can't get into that conversation, then Kevster doesn't have these shots to be able to take.
And even, yeah, like that last phase of the map, the Mayhem knew that the sidelines were pretty decent, so they play close and they play in the corridors, force the Gladiators to push straight into them through that choke. It's Choron here. This was the follow-up damage that we, as we later discussed, expected him at this point.
Oh, that's clean though.
Oh, he stole that one.
Quick.
He just stole that one. All right, Choron. Fair enough. But again, that was the second Blizzard in that fight. And what impressed me so much is that the Mayhem actually survived the Gladiators Blizzard because Yaki doesn't use it aggressively. He actually Maywalls defensively. The Mayhem push past it and then he Blizzards. The Maywall plus Blizzard combo always looks so much better if you can just rush into their tank and deploy it. Kevster's 15-4 by the way, so this Sojourn pick is really working out. I wonder if Mehmet stays on something long range like this to contest.
It's a great way to be able to chunk down that Maywall and give Florida Mayhem a way to be able to bypass a lot of this defensive that Gladiators are playing around.
All right, good start here. A lot of shield pressure. Merit able to play a little bit more aggressively now. Ramantra blows being traded. Awkward here for Merit, so an Immortality Field already has to be deployed, and Choron wasn't able to shelter under it. The Gladiators here, good numbers. Yeah, they're going to be able to push the Mayhem back somewhat. Losing Kevster here is less than ideal, and they actually might make a push of it here. RuPaul being low, though, is an issue.
Ooh, Dante's getting pushed back, but a big pick onto someone to be able to stop that pressure. And that gives Gladiators now some time to breathe, allow Kevster to get back into the mix, and so this should be a nice 5x5. What is Merit doing? I think Merit's peeking around. Don't get punished!
Blunt thinks he's on the team, the Gladiators. he thinks he's on their team.
All right, he had a push. RuPaul, nice air matrix. That really caught Yaki by surprise here. But Funny Astro going to accost him, making it impossible to use that ultimate. Love the peel, though. Choron is always up for a good little bit of argy-bargy. He gets involved, peels for his support, takes Funny Astro down. We'll be around the corner in just a second where both Lucios will have sound barriers to bring into the next fight.
Sound barriers, and I'm looking at those Blizzards as well as those Annihilations, but here's where things start to get really tricky, is that Merit's also building up to that Dragon Strike, and the biggest key difference between the Dragon Strike and the Overclock is that the Dragon Strike can help corral the Gladiators, split them up, and make them easier to pick off if you're able to play your cards right. Especially with the walls the Checkmate has been putting down, I absolutely expect that, yep, you're gonna just push them forward.
Funny Astro is out of position here. Can't deliver the sound barrier in the time he would have liked. RuPaul and Merit don't get it at all. From Choron, he already able to get onto a couple people. Still, the Annihilations are deadly, but Kevster, nasty accuracy here with this overclock. Checkmate was brought down there, and the Gladiators win that fight where everybody just presses Q.
Oh yeah, everything's off the table. Wow, would you look at that? With Kevster, though, being as deadly on the Sojourn as he has, Merit's actually going to switch off of the Hanzo and go over to the Sojourn himself. So now you get a chance to play this long game between these teams where you're looking to try to fight that space away from each other so that Merit and Kevster have room to work with.
Merit had to play this flank angle here. Trying to wrap around somewhat. but not reveal himself. Otherwise, he dies instantly to Funny Astro, who just comes through him with bloodlust in his eyes. The mini health pack being here is very powerful for flankers. I want to point that out at this stage. A lot of damage on Dante right now. Oh, there it is though. Yaki pins him to the wall. 4 versus 5 here. Dante probably doesn't feel like he needs to push too far forward from where he is. Ant Matrix is in play now. Yaki trying to make retreat impossible here. Looks like he may have succeeded to that end. It's a matter of trying to disrupt someone now who pops Nemesis and tries to go for the throats here. Immortality Field has to be deployed to keep him alive. But Funny Astro gets rid of that, and it's going to be a regroup from Florida. 34 seconds to go.
Okay, RuPaul has the amplification matrix. You can dish it back out the way that Lastro did to you, but you have to be able to capitalize on that and convert it into picks.
22 seconds now. Ant Matrix gets through most of that wall. Dante has to use the card to break line of sight, but Funny Astro not able to get away from checkmate here. See in the background, Jester trying to send railguns overhead, and he bores a steaming hole through Merit's face. What a key kill. Is that going to be enough though? RuPaul gets frozen just by the vestiges of that blizzard, but the sound barrier is awfully timely from Chorong. Funny Astro has one in response though. Dante boot backwards off the card. Checkmate trying to hose him down, but here comes the annihilation. And where's Chorong going to go now? Checkmate's forced into ice block, and not enough healing is there for someone. RuPaul out of the fight here. Dante looking to clean up, and the Los Angeles Gladiators forcing the fight to Shambali Monastery. They get exactly what they wanted. A map win, a chance to breathe, and an extension of this series.
And that was a full hold too. That was a good look from the Gladiators, and so that makes a lot of sense why they would have wanted to go over to Shambali Monastery, and maybe we're starting to see a bit of a crack in the Florida Mayhem armor. Being able to set up Kevster for success with those longer sightlines on the Sojourn, maybe not necessarily forcing them into this position to play that flank game, because that has been too slow for the Gladiators to work with.
See here, the Gladiators get to play the Rush Mirror again. This time, it looks way different to what we saw on Oasis. Very different map, very different game type, very different situation. That's what the Gladiators are, selecting with their map picks. It makes you wonder why at all. I guess they chance a map like Blizzard World. Maybe they think it's a bit easier for them to, play into the dive compositions. But what's scary here is that now the Mayhem, they get a map pick. Where do they go? We just saw them on Esperanza earlier on. They looked really good there. Can play dive comp on that map. Push is the kind of game type that will allow you to play that style if you so choose. So the Gladiators are going to have their wits about them, Rose. On the other side of the break, the Mayhem get to make the map choice. A choice that may propel them into the mid-season madness. A much-needed map win here for the Los Angeles Gladiators, and it's this individual on your right that leads the charge. Dante with a fantastic showing on that Ramatra. This is per 10-minute stats, by the way. 10 final blows, 5 deaths. Definitely winning out in that head-to-head. The Gladiators finally able to put it together, even up against a kind of obnoxious Moira Reaper-based composition from the Mayhem on defense. They're able to break through thanks to the heroics of Yaki and a fantastic May wall, and find themselves still alive, still breathing in the series.
I worry now about whether or not we are going to be able to see the Gladiators bring out this Ramatra composition again. They did look really good on it on Shambali. But now, do they get that opportunity knowing that we have to go to another map? This is Florida Mayhem's map pick, and they don't want to give Gladiators that chance again. I don't know if they know how to break that composition right now.
Funny Astro there. I'd say Face and Kai stood behind him. We'll be discussing how this next map is going to play out. Funny Astro also looks like he's the one that holds onto the AC remote. He's the climate king on this team. He was,
oh, is he?
Yeah, he was waving that around in the break, so you can tell he's got a lot of responsibility on his shoulders. I don't know how he's going to focus on leading the team and also trying to keep everyone extra comfortable. But Kevster and Yaki here, so obviously with
That's a lot.
Kai sat in the background, chatting it up. He will be continuing to sit out here in this series. On the next map, we discussed a few possibilities. We just saw the Florida Mayhem on Esperanza. I don't want to spoil it for you, but we're going to be heading back there, as that must be the map they think gives them the best chance of playing to their strengths.
We're going to see Bopel coming into the roster over Lastro as well, so maybe not looking for survivability on a wholesale level, but maybe even looking to use Bopel's flexibility as a flex support to be able to play a bit more of like an Ana Lucio, or maybe even go over to something like a Kiriko if they really feel like it. I would just maybe caution against bringing out a Zenyatta, but that was Lastro that did that, so I don't know if we're going to see that coming out from him.
It is interesting. I mean, Bubble normally comes to play the Ana in many cases. We often see him like, you know, like alongside Lastro. If there's going to be like a Brigand Ana setup here. So Funny Astro still says to us, most likely see a Lucio. And I think that, look, Esperanza is a map where we've seen teams quite frequently try to play their rushdown style. We might actually get two different compositions. I do wonder, you know, now the Mayhem having a chance to reflect on how that last map went. Do they go, okay, let's play Reaper Moira Lucio again? Or do they try and go and, you know, and set someone up as well as they can? Rupal's Ana's been really good. The Bionate connections have been sublime today. And they've really been a big part of what, you know, gives the Mayhem an edge, knowing that they can dive in and they can get a quick fight win. A lot on the line here for the Gladiators. Having beaten the Florida Mayhem previously in the upper bracket, they find them a changed team here in lowers with so much at stake. Only one more team from the West can advance to the mid-season madness in South Korea. And this is the last chance for these two teams to show their stuff domestically before they jet set off.
Either composition that the Gladiators come out on, they need to be able to keep pace with the Florida Mayhem. They have not been able to for the first two maps of the series, and they started to take matters into their own hands when we went over to Shambali Monastery. But this is a map you can play the dive, and it looks like Florida Mayhem are going to hover over that one. You question whether or not maybe we would get a chance to see a little bit more of that Reaper Moira. That's so risky to lock into. You want to win this first fight. It's so important. You can't risk it on a pick that didn't work for you last time.
We might be looking at the best looks for both of these teams here. The Junker Queen composition for the Glads. And of course, Florida on their signature dive setup with Rupal on this Ana. Both these teams, again, have an opportunity to kind of play what suits them best here. Last chance for the Gladiators. Need another map win here once more. See if they can do it. Dante already well and truly in someone's face, and I'm surprised to see the Mayhem challenge the Junker Queen up front like that.
That was not smart. That was not smart. Hoping maybe there was a bit more pressure on the back line of the Florida Mayhem, that they would be able to have sight lines onto someone, but the way that the Gladiators played that positionally did not allow for Rupal to have clean sight lines onto the Winston. So no healing came through, someone got deleted instantly, and this is not a rhythm you want to be on if you are the Florida Mayhem. This first fight going the way of the Gladiators is huge because you're looking at Yaki being able to build up to this EMP super quickly. And Merit's on the Sojourn right now.
Okay, Sojourn in this composition. Maybe the Sombra just doesn't feel like she can disrupt the Junker Queen nearly enough. Merit does well, opens up the account, finding Bubble. Dante will eventually be brought down here. The Mayhem, this time they keep a respectful distance. They don't just send someone in, you know, on a one-man mission. And they're able to get back to parity here. They should be able to head now towards this overpass that they can inhabit. They can set up, they can get Merit in a good spot to do work, and someone can drop on down, jump back up, get healing, rinse and repeat.
That's why the Sojourn pick is so good as well. Not just because you can set up those sight lines, but also because Merit does have that one-shot potential, which is a great way to be able to get back in contention for his payload.
Nano Winston, someone trying to body block Dante in, and he's successful. Kempster, though, was able to sneak in, attach the pulse bomb to Rupal, get rid of the Ana. Someone probably a little bit, I guess, wary of health total right now, but he doesn't want to push too far forward. Okay, so he gets EMP, but not the bubble. Interesting. So he's able to step into the bubble, benefit from the protection, then cycle into a primal rage, getting the kill on bubble, then getting back out to safety for his team to top him back up, and the Florida Mayhem have the lead.
This is why the Junker Queen has weakness it does into the Winston composition, especially if you're not going to be playing any supports that have good range healing. Someone just pops down the Winston bubble, and what do? You can't heal through that. So that just gives all of the onus onto someone to be able to initiate into these fights. And Dante is stuck right now without a paddle.
Okay, not enough healing right now for the Gladiators. They have to take 5. Big stick on the Junker Queen. Dante cleverly steps out of that corridor. Here's the sound barrier for the Gladiators to go forward with. It's a rally for the Florida Mayhem, and Merit is trying to battle for supremacy on the high ground. With this overclock, they sleep on Kempster, secures a guaranteed kill. Rupal is at it again, everybody. Merit, safe distance, disrupt the shot, thrown down to open up the gap a little bit more, and Dante found himself again surrounded by Mayhem players. The bot is abducted briefly. He'll return to his pride of place on the Gladiators side of the map in just a moment.
Florida Mayhem could get the checkpoint from here as well. You could see Dante making a quick switch over to the Winston, hoping to get back in time before that bot is able to reach that checkpoint, but it doesn't have much farther to go.
That ain't happening. They're getting there.
There it is.
So, sloppy start for Florida, diving headlong into a Junker Queen. The Gladiators, though, don't feel like the JQ is giving them value right now. They're actually going to be forced over to the Winston composition with Lucio Kiriko, by the way. Interesting sort of, I guess, support line for a dive strategy here. Bold strategy, if I'm honest with you. Here it comes. Merit, able to slide on away. Greased up and just moving across the top of that bridge. Another nano boost for someone. Rupal is getting a lot of those accrued. Bubble, yeah, he just disintegrates. You breathe on him and he just disappears. I don't think the Gladiators have the best backline set up for fighting dive versus dive, so they get the bot away once more, and he'll be dragged back into position.
Kiriko is so good if you're able to land those kunai to help initiate some of the damage output or get a bit of a cleanup, but it's really not going to do you any favors to try to keep a Winston up and alive. And even though Funny Astro's healing output is always so strong.
EMP for the high ground.
Look at the EMP!
Someone just double back straight away. That's another unsuccessful EMP dive set up for the Los Angeles Gladiators. Toronto's able to get the rally, to be fair, so it helps them be far more durable in the aftermath of that Sombra ultimate. The Gladiators once again showing us their weakness in these compositions. They cannot make it happen, even if they have a pretty effective, wide-ranging EMP connection on that high ground.
Escorting the robot.
That was so many members. And the way that Florida Mayhem have just been able to play around that has been so pivotal. Chorong once again with a giant rally to be able to help bolster up the team's defenses at the perfect moment. And now, Florida Mayhem are looking to approach this final objective. Look at the primal rage in the building.
Very disruptive. Means the Gladiators can't shelter inside there at all. Means they're a little bit more subject to Merit. And that long sideline that the Mayhem now have. But it's Kempster and Yaki, this time able to get in there and find kills. Sans ultimate uses Dante's Primal Rage, the disruption that brought. Even better than what someone was trying to do. Finally, the Gladiators have a chance now to start moving forward with both support ultimates. They're well behind, if I'm honest with you. This is a significant deficit they're finding themselves in. They go for the Kitsune Rush. They really want to catch someone here. And look at everybody.
Nice. That's exactly what you want to see if you're a Gladiators fan right now, to see them go to a map number 5 And is this the start? Finally getting into a smooth rotation of ultimates. Maybe the EMP didn't quite work out for them, but you look at Dante being able to capitalize on an opportunity provided to him when someone was away from being able to protect the backline, and maybe Gladiators get a chance to cap their objective on Florida Mayhem's side of the map. Gonna be a touch to be able to come in and contest, but Funny Astro's got a sound barrier here. A lot of sustain for the Glads.
Merritt needs to pressure the high ground set up here for the Gladiators, and there it is. Nicely done. Funny Astro trying to lead in with the dive. Rupal at least able to secure a trade. Checkmate's pulse bomb will be avoided for now. No checkpoint, though, for the Gladiators here. If the Mayhem can keep some form of numbers. Oh, it was a hack health pack. That's devastating for Dante. And still he wins out the duel. He'll be 10-2 by Bubble here, and in a moment, the Gladiators will be ready to group up again. They got the checkpoint. I mean, they're getting within spitting distance now. It's a 25-meter difference.
Yaki has another EMP. Another chance to be able to make this a big map-winning play for the Gladiators.
I like that. Keep it simple. Just get someone. It's a guaranteed EMP, and Dante was already there for the other side of that pincer. Chorong's going to get nanoed here, but can they put him in a position to actually do damage? It looks like the Gladiators are kind of happy just backing off here, letting Chorong stand out in the open, lit up like a Christmas tree until that nano expires, and then the Glads go again. Dante slept, bioed. That's all Rupal's work there. This is going to allow someone to push back on towards the barricade and give the Mayhem a chance to push back.
Mayhem pushing back here is pretty bad for the Gladiators. Didn't get a chance to retake control and take over the lead. And you only have a Primal Rage and a Kitsune Rush right now to the 3 ultimates coming online for the Mayhem, one of which is an EMP. So this should be a fight one for the Mayhem, and that's going to put Gladiators even further onto the back foot to be able to take this map.
Okay, Kitsune Rush used here by Bubble. They want to start at the fight quickly. They get rid of Ana, the most threatening element of the Mayhem composition. If you're slept, you die. But an EMP after the fact here by Merritt. We don't always see these used like in response, but Merritt is able to catch the Gladiators mid-step while they're already fully committed to trying to dive on the Mayhem. Nicely done. And a great salvage of a fight. They could have gone wrong. You lost your Ana at the start of that fight and you still prevail.
That was a really great call there from Florida Mayhem to be a little bit more patient, but oh
dear.
Checkmate going down.
He got hacked,
the Gladiators are going to be able to come back with the early leads though as well from spawn.
It's a great setup by Yaki there to secure the kill. And now you may as well commit a bit more because you need to buy some time for the car, or rather the barricade, to move toward the other side of the map here. The Gladiators now have an opportunity to challenge the lead of the Florida Mayhem. Florida only have 2 players set up, and there's already a flank here. Check that high ground. Kevs is getting in position early for this fight.
Primal Rage.
Okay, someone forced the translocate there for Yaki crucially, but Yaki comes back with an EMP. Keep that in mind. Kevster can't be shaken from the window. No one there to pressure him down. A defensive Bionade used there by Rupal, but it's going to be a nano for someone. Could be a difference maker, but Yaki wins out in the Sombra duel. Merritt is down as an EMP for the Gladiators. It's all on the table for Los Angeles. They can win this here. Pulse Bomb connects to Chorong, and the Gladiators can do no wrong right now. With 20 seconds left in the round, they win the most important fight of the series, and they are ahead now on Esperanza.
Big looks here for the Gladiators, maybe going to a map number 5, but the Florida Mayhem, they're able to come back. Someone should be able to touch the checkpoint if it's not Merritt first, and then Checky gets to come in. What they didn't touch!
Merritt! You stood there looking at it. My guy, you are contemplating the barrier, and a key breakdown in the communication occurs for the Florida Mayhem. They had a chance to touch there. I'll be honest, they weren't in a great spot anyway. But Necro, your C9 curse has now afflicted me.
Stop, stop, no, stop.
It has happened. That is devastating.
It's not a thing.
Look, from this position, the Florida Mayhem are pretty unlikely to win. The Gladiators played that extremely well. It all starts. It's really a cascade, right? Yaki hacks Checkmate as he tries to fall back with the rest of his team. Checkmate is too slow. Someone tries to dive to protect Checkmate with the bubble. Checkmate falls early. Someone gets chased down. All of a sudden, you've lost control. The bot's pushing on your side of the map. You lose the lead. Yaki 1v1's Merritt, wins out in that fight, has an EMP, and all of a sudden, you are getting dragged, kicking and screaming right into a showdown in map number 5. That's right, everybody. The mid-season madness is on the line for these two teams, and the Gladiators are threatening a reverse sweep in their qualifying game.
This is exactly what I was hoping for the final match of the knockouts. Both teams fighting for their lives right now, and they are here to prove that. Gladiators may have been off to a bit of a shaky start, as Florida Mayhem were so consistent and so confident off the back of such a clean victory earlier today. But this is where it starts to get tough for the Gladiators. They're gonna have to put a lot of groundwork down for this final map, because Florida Mayhem get to pick again.
The Los Angeles Gladiators, they're awake now. They're alert. They're hungry. What do the Florida Mayhem have left in the tank? It's going to take all of it to take this series away. It's a map 5 banger in our last match of your spring stage knockouts, everybody. And Antarctic Peninsula is where it all will end. Well, it's a match with the biggest stakes we've seen in quite some time. The last few months at the very least here, is the winner between the Florida Mayhem and the Los Angeles Gladiators today will advance to play in Korea in our mid-season madness. The loser goes home with nothing. In the break, we saw the Glads get up, stretch their legs, move about, but for the Mayhem, well, The lashings continue until the morale improves, apparently. They stony-faced sat at their PCs. Not looking good, not feeling good either. It's been a real seesaw of a series, Rose. We saw the Mayhem start looking flashy, looking very well-rounded, looking extremely solid on their execution. They've been flat and they've been sloppy these last couple maps.
Their confidence has been shaken. That Shambali Monastery was such a statement from the Gladiators, being able to capture all 3 points and full holding them. They couldn't get anything done there. Now Florida as well, winning on another map pick or losing on their map pick that they have been able to take down every other team on in Esperanza. And they are stuck with some awful options for their next control map to close out this series. If you're the Florida Mayhem, you don't want to take the Gladiators to either Lijiang or Antarctic Peninsula, to be quite frank.
Yep, you're playing Rush, most likely, at least on one of the stages on this map. And you need to figure it out because, I mean, frankly, we saw the Glad switch to a dive composition, the Lucio Kiriko variant, of the one that's very good at chasing, the one that's very good at staggering kills, the one that's very good at taking teams by surprise. And they played it into like the, Brig Arna setup. Something I'd love to have the desk expand on a little bit there. And they look better in the dive. They made it work. They were able to pick Rupal off very effectively. Just that blistering pace they had was something that the Mayhem were not ready for. And we're talking about a team that loves to play fast, Florida. They weren't ready. However, when we go back to rush setups, we do see the Florida Mayhem bring out this now characteristic Moira and Reaper setup. Very, very good if they can get going early.
They have to be able to get it going, though, in the first place, and that was something that they faltered on when we came down to Shambali Monastery trying to bring out this same type of composition. But heading over to Antarctic Peninsula, you're really hoping for a good roll here if you're the Mayhem. You want to at least be able to win one of these points so that you can buy yourself a second chance, and this is a good one. We're heading over to Icebreaker right now, and with Florida Mayhem coming out of the gates, they can come out swinging. Close the gap on the Gladiators, close the distance, get up in their faces, and Florida Mayhem have to do this with confidence.
Yep. Here on Icebreaker, rush is non-negotiable. You have to lock this composition to make it work. So Florida here, they probe early and actually pull back. They pull away from the Gladiators now and looking for a different angle. Merit surprises Yaki by the looks of things here, but Yaki pretty quickly unperturbed. Throws up the May wall here, doesn't do too much but force the Mayhem to funnel, which they seem happy enough doing because they catch Kevster. They are the cat amongst the pigeons right now. Taking the Sojourn out of the mix is a big deal, and Yaki is going to be cowering from inside that ice encasement. What will be waiting for him will be a swift execution.
That's what Florida Mayhem were waiting for. We're trying to figure out where Kevster was and be able to wait for cooldowns to come online to take him out immediately. You gotta do this. You gotta hold close and personal here because you don't want to give Gladiators the opportunity to set Kevster back up again. He's sticking to the Sojourn pick, hoping to get some railgun charge and then go in for a kill. And Florida Mayhem have to play around this point. And look, they're matching the Gladiators greatly here.
Rupal looking for some big coal value right now. Good luck starting a fire out here though. Okay, Immortality Field has to be used early by the Gladiators. That's a great pick if you're the Mayhem. Getting them to part with that ability. And here we come! Annihilation for someone. Was hoping to make it more of an extinction event there, but 2 kills is going to be more than enough to give the Mayhem the edge they need in that fight. And hey, getting an Immortality Field out of the Glads early, then pushing for another fight. That's a good strategy.
Florida Mayhem have definitely figured out how they can capitalize in some of these choices from the Gladiators, and you can see that Gladiators are now going to try to match Mayhem with the Reaper and the Moira too. So going for more of that survivability, and this is not a look we've really seen from the Gladiators before.
Sauna sat on the bench like, hey, that's my thing. I'm the Reaper guy. Hello? Anybody? We can't hear you from inside the closet, buddy, sorry. Dante takes it down. Sauna's just been stored away for later. I'm sure they're working on getting him ready for more matches, but right now, Merit is the one with the shotguns akimbo. Absolutely dominated. Florida definitely, as architects of this comp, one of the teams really pushing it. Make it look very, very good. And now I think if they've been actually trying that for much of this season early on. I can bring up Sauna as the player they brought in to play that Reaper a lot of the time. So they were very early on this idea. And they've perhaps perfected it. They're going to have to make it look pretty damn good. They want to take the series here. Dante on the Doomfist. Doesn't look real good here. He's taken down awful early now. Trying to retreat is Kevster. Someone will descend upon him. And this is a statement. Florida Mayhem dig deep. They find a little bit left in the tank at the crucial moment.
Great first round here for the Florida Mayhem, and that gives them some breathing room to be able to look at these next 2 points of Antarctic Peninsula and figure out a game plan. Because this is where it starts to get really tough. You got one out of the way, but these next 2 rounds that you could rotate through have great sight lines for a Sojourn. And we're looking at one of them right now. Labs is definitely a map that you could play the Sojourn on if the Gladiators want to try to roll with that particular hero choice. But they also might not feel comfortable in being able to do that, so we could end up seeing just the Reaper may come back out from the Gladiators to see if they can go toe-to-toe.
I do want to say we have seen some teams try and play dive on Labs. I think when I say the Boston Uprising have attempted it a couple times. Don't love it. I definitely think Rush is the way to go here.
That's not my favorite.
No. Yeah, doesn't exactly stand out in my mind. So the Gladiators here are in agreement. Moira and Reaper is the way to go. So can they get up to speed quickly enough to contest the Mayhem at this composition and at this critical juncture? Lastro's got to fade away, leaving Yaki all on his own. He's quickly trying to get back to the rest of his team, but there is no way Chorong and the Mayhem are going to let him escape.
Oh gosh, they're getting bullied. They're getting bullied.
Checkmate, though, might be a little extended as well. No, so much pressure on Dante means the Gladiators are in no position to come forward for any reason at all. The saving grace here, Rose, is that no one's capped the point yet.
That'll take a little bit of time for the Florida Mayhem to get online and going. And it's like, Checkmate's overextended again.
He's good. He's fine.
Okay.
Someone was making a beeline for him there, so the Mayhem making sure everybody gets out alive. And they're off to a good start.
And look at so bad.
Look, they just want the Glads to have to push into awkward spots. They have to take the low ground here, or they have to push into a choke. Either one, not great for the attackers here. All right, good coalescence timing. This is excellent. RuPaul getting a ton of value from the coal as the Annihilation came through. Chorong hasn't got that sound barrier up yet. He needs it in the next couple seconds. He's got to go for it straight away, but they might lose Checkmate. Don't need it. Okay. You have someone's Annihilation. It just looks better than the Glads. Perhaps the sound barrier too early?
It was Sound Barrier and Coalescence. Mitch, they used both.
Oh,
Gladiators used both support ultimates in that fight, and it wasn't enough.
Oh, that is a very bad omen. It is an ill omen for the rest of this map here. Florida Mayhem quickly trying to back up here, but they're going to be grouped up. They're in a decent spot. They may be concerned about being caught by a blizzard or something similar. Yaki needs an incredibly good wall to somehow catch, ideally, someone out of position, and then deploy a big blizzard.
Death Blossom, though, available for Merit. Could just go into the back line here, wait for it, the Gladiators to walk in, or just go in their face.
Oh, okay. Kevster goes for it first. So Merit, it's a sound barrier here, so great response, but a lot of people get frozen. The distraction of the Death Blossom there, plus the Blizzard. Merit getting booped off course, so just zero value for that. And Lastro now has that Coalescence online. He built it pretty quickly, but Merit just crashes through. Kevster's taken down. The Coalescence may be a slight concern. Lastro able to eventually find RuPaul with that, and Merit, he's not even able to stall much longer here. So the Gladiators get back in after using both their support ults in that previous fight.
Okay, and Funny Astro has the Sound Barrier this time around as well to be able to hold on to. So Sound Barrier and Annihilation looking really good here for the Gladiators to maintain control of this point. There's nothing online for the Mayhem here. So as long as somebody doesn't get picked off in the Gladiators, they should be able to keep control for now.
Merit's 10-1. Really clean score over these last couple of maps. Putting under a lot of pressure now, though. That's going to be a Wraith Walk. Ah, the Annihilation. There's no support ultimates, like you said. And there's no escape from Dante.
Oh, just walk forward, someone. Yeah, go back to spawn real fast. Get that quick reset. Gladiators still have their work cut out for them. They didn't have to blow the sound barrier in that last fight, so that's another tool in their arsenal to be able to contest with Florida Mayhem's own Annihilation. Now, someone ready to go with that on top of a Coalescence from RuPaul also coming up very quickly. So tons of sustain, and it'll be very hard to take someone down. So the sound barrier going to be pivotal in this next fight for the Gladiators. Funny Aster's going to have to hit everybody on the team.
Merit's building his Death Blossom frighteningly fast. Already has yet another one online, and he was the second to use it last time around. Here's the Coalescence and the Annihilation from someone. We're going to be cycling now. Funny Astro, yeah, forced finally to part with that sound barrier. He held on to it for a long time, and perfect timing for it to come out here. Shuts down much of the Annihilation, but Merit gets Yaki for the Death Blossom. Chorong and Co are getting out though. They don't fancy going up against Dante. Even in a 3 versus 3, they're heavily disadvantaged.
Oh my goodness, this is not looking good now for the Mayhem, actually. So Gladiators, they might be able to do it. They want control at this point. They want to be able to bring us to a round 3 on Antarctic Peninsula, and it's all going to come down to Kevster's Death Blossom. That needs to be able to buy enough time for Dante to get this Annihilation online if they want to see a round 3 and stay in this series.
It's going to be dangerous though. Kevster would have to push into a potential Blizzard from Checkmate. I want to see reactive use of ultimates here, but Chorong instead decided to be proactive with the sound barrier. So here's the response. It's going to be the Death Blossom from Kevster, but the Blizzard catches many. Dante is not going to be escaping that one alive. The key ultimate gets deployed in the right time. Dante eventually is brought to his knees, and the rest of his team soon to follow. The Mayhem have to spend all of that though just to stay in the round, and are by no means out of the woods yet.
There's one more fight on the line here for the Mayhem. If they win this next one, they're going to the mid-season. RuPaul has that coalescence, and we're going to see a quick panic pick from Yaki over to the Sombra. Try to shut somebody down here on Florida, and it's going to be RuPaul as a great way to be able to start this one.
Yaki has to jump out there. Maybe he was hoping to hack the coalescence. That's really the only way you can shut RuPaul down, and Cole is the only thing that protects the Mayhem from this Annihilation right now. They push back, they get off the point, eventually that's going to expire, and Dante is very low. Look at them, they turn up the heat straight away. Sound barrier, Dante disintegrates. Here come the Florida Mayhem in numbers. Funny Astro gets the sound barrier on time, but it's too late to save their frontliner. Merritt now, disco dancing on the point, but taken down at mid-range by Yaki. The coalescence from Lastro, absolutely pivotal, but someone gets the Annihilation, and this time, there's no coming back from it. Lastro forced off the point, and that will be that. The Florida Mayhem have booked their ticket to the mid-season madness, outlasting a resurgent Los Angeles Gladiators, averting the reverse sweep, showing true grit and determination. We'll see you in South Korea.
What a heartbreaking loss for the Gladiators, though. Oh, such range of emotion happening on screen right now. You can't help but feel bad knowing how close the Gladiators got to being able to get there. But boy, did Florida Mayhem earn that win, Mitch. They looked great on those first 2 maps, and they made some quick adjustments on that final map of Antarctic Peninsula to be able to get this brawl going strong.
You know, it's so interesting, right? Yaki, for whatever reason, says, I've got to sort of switch to Sombra here. I've got to make this change sort of last minute. Getting rid of the May, right? May pretty important for disruption, also for like blocking off attacking teams, trying to press her onto you. So he goes Sombra, and all of a sudden he's caught in the middle of the point. He's like, why am I here? I'm now going to throw my translocator to get off the point, but I can't help my team. And I was thinking maybe he's set up here to try and shut down his coalescence, because again, it's very good against Annihilation. That would have been the only thing the Mayhem had to stop Dante's Annihilation. But they keep the coal, they protect the team against the Annihilation, someone gets one of his own, and from there, I mean, it's already all in the history books now. Great showing from the Florida Mayhem. A little bit dubious though, obviously we saw them on Esperanza. That's a map we really expected them to run away with. This is a very close series, definitely could have gone either way. And again, Florida want to tighten things up. They don't want to be, you know, being put in these reverse sweep scenarios, but let's talk player of the match here. Rose, we had a few standout candidates, but I think Checkmate is an easy pick.
Gotta pick Checkmate again. I mean, come on, what can't this player do? He was so pivotal with the Tracer, being able to land stick after stick of the pulse bombs, getting into the backline of the Gladiators, making it really difficult for them to run something like the static backline of the Zenyatta and the Ana. And oh my gosh, this double pulse, again, I cannot believe how sneaky he was with this, and also the setup that the rest of the Florida Mayhem were able to do to capitalize on that.
Yeah, I mean, this team really impressed us with their coordination and their dive setup, until they didn't. But then, of course, they turn around, they play their take on the rush composition. The first round being so one-sided, it's a very scary prospect for the Gladiators, who do switch. They switch into the Reaper Moira setup as well. They say, we don't know how to stop this. And of course, Checkmate, very, very important on the May in those compositions. But it's the Tracer that we want to highlight here. 26 minutes played, again, really solid Tracer stats. Pretty aggressive, very much caught in the fray. But we saw what happened on Blizzard World, where there was no one there to sort of check up on Checkmate and pressure him down. There was no Tracer for Kevster, and he was able to go like 5-0, 6-0, be pretty much uncontested there. A very scary prospect. But Rose, this team is going to be going up against the likes of like your Hangzhou Spark, your Soul Infernal. These are teams that their bread and butter is that Sombra Tracer dive.
they're going to be looking to really tighten that up as they head into the mid-season madness because they're going to be put to the test in the mirror.
I mean, can't count out Atlanta Reign either that's already waiting in the mid-season. That's another team that has such a strong Tracer Sombra setup, and this is where the going starts to get really tough. But expect the mirrors. You know, even the desk was talking about how APAC, they don't like to have too much funny business when it comes down to some of the compositions that they like to run, and that was something that actually caught the Florida Mayhem by surprise. You know, calling back to the Ashe pick from Kai, some of the other hero picks that we've seen from Boston, like the Bastion.
Keep it
I don't
coming.
know.
Keep it coming. Inundate me with Bastion compositions. I'm ready to see it. I'd love to see it on the international stage as well, Rose. But here we go. Boston and Florida. They make it out of the West. They're heading, of course, to Seoul. We're going to go to break, ladies and gentlemen. There's so much to talk about. Not only looking back, but also looking forward. And for all of that and more, we're going to be having our desk jump in and give us the lowdown.
Sure, at the end, I don't think that was a call out from someone. He was just screaming into the mic.
I mean, understandable. Emotions running high. It went down to the wire. It was such an intense team fight there at the very end. And a heartbreaker, of course, for the Gladiators, coming this close, almost like pulling off a reverse sweep there as well. That's right. No. Gotta do what you gotta do. No,
sorry, you gotta do it, Johnny. Let it go, Johnny. Let it go, Johnny. You have to.
Let him go. Good night. It's only peace now for the Gladiators. They Florida go Mayhem. Again. Yeah. Mayhem.
Let's go.
Turn it around. It's the W.
Yeah, there you go.
Seoul, Korea.
Yeah, off to Seoul, Korea they go. Let's talk about how they got it done, reliving some of the highlights of that match, and there were plenty of highlights there from both teams, honestly.
Yeah, look, I mean, the Florida Mayhem, they came into this matchup and just looked like they were on fire and carrying over that momentum from playing the Washington Justice. And it looked like it was going to be a pretty quick 3-0 here for the side of Florida Mayhem. I gotta say, it was such a fun match to watch because on the one hand, you have Gladiators coming out with the Junker Queen, but this Tracer Sombra composition from Mayhem, someone's Primal Rage here to clutch it up on Oasis was spectacular, and Blizzard World wasn't even close here, Jay.
Yeah, I think the peak potential of the Winston comp is just higher than that of the Queen. Even if you play Queen perfectly, it's just, you're not going to be consistent hitting the daggers on, I mean, what are you daggering? It's like, it really is that Winston, and you know, these Winstons are so good, they're so tricky, hard to catch with the movement. Gladiators, though, I'm impressed. They caught their second win. They did what we said they needed to do. They forced it to a map 5, an unbelievable comeback here on Esperanza. Great awareness and confidence from the team to stay in it, stay fighting to the very end and force the map 5. But again, it's that Reaper Moira comp, that's really been Florida's innovation this season. They were the team to bring that to the fore. Honestly, when I first saw it, I was uncertain, but I think the strength of this comp is that Ramacha, right? He's so powerful at blocking that front-facing damage. But Reaper, Moira, May, when you're just getting swarmed from all sides, it's very difficult to figure out what you actually need to be blocking on Ramacha. And
that's
I think it's a very strong comp. I think this is the type of comp, actually, the Moira, that is going to bring dividends in the midseason madness. I think this is something that Florida Mayhem can really build on. Sure, the dive mirrors are going to be tough, but if they can take it to these maps where they can play Rush, they can play Lucio, Moira, Reaper, and May, I think this is going to be really devastating because Florida so far looks like the best in the league at this specific version of the comp.
I think this is why I think I'm more excited for the midseason madness, where like I think they're going up against the Spark, who, like we said, they're playing a lot of dive. love someone. He just fell down.
Oh my God.
But you know, the Florida Mayhem, they're also a great dive team, but also like we're talking about the Ramacha Rush comp as well. I think that's I'm excited to see how that's gonna, like what the Spark's answer to that will be, if they ever have an answer.
Yeah, I mean, they looked so comfortable playing that Moira composition, and you can see Gladiators matching the Moira composition, just like, well, Florida Mayhem's got to figure it out. We don't have a
limit. That was the better comp.
Yeah, we don't have a choice but to mirror it. So credit to Gladiators for bringing it so close. Especially like even bringing it close with the Moira composition.
They definitely didn't practice.
They definitely didn't practice.
They swapped it up there, like, you know, in the match we felt this is a better comp, we had to mirror it, and they still made it a fight, which shows speaks to the
did.
veterancy of that team. It speaks to their experience, their skill, and their decision making. It's very hard to do that on a comp with little practice.
Great match overall. Great match.
Yeah, no, it was so much fun to watch. Again, of course, massive props to the Gladiators, took it all the way, and they looked really dominant in their showings in the knockout brackets in general. How high is the ceiling for this team? Where can they go in the overall season?
For Gladiators, I think it really just comes down to the meta. I think the prevalence of Winston in this meta is just hard for them as a team. I think if we do see, like, there's a huge Queen buff in the current live patch, we'll see if that sort of stays dominant into the playoffs. But I think Dante is one of the best Queens, if not the best Queen in the league. Like, he really is elite on that hero, has some of the best individual mechanics on the hero, which matters a lot on Queen. And I think that could be a massive strength for the Gladiators. They were trying to force it a little bit here, and I don't blame them for that. It's a strength for them. But I think this meta is just, the top end of that Winston play is just too high. The potential with the primals these elite players have shown, I mean, it's really devastating, especially in the Stomp Tracer.
And if we're looking at individuals here, who stood out to you in this match?
For me, I mean, it has to be, I think, I want to talk about RuPaul, because I think he has been such a great player for support for the Florida Mayhem. I think we don't credit him enough. And even for this match, he played such, I think he played a huge part in their win. So I think I got to say RuPaul.
Can I shout out someone as well?
Yes, please.
Check me out player of the match again, but I think someone's Winston on map 1 with the Primal Rage to close it out.
Yeah.
The way he shut down the Zenyatta on Blizzard World. Last row came out playing Zenyatta for the Gladiators. Someone was always in there, diving into Zenyatta, forcing trans out, like stuff like that. And then finally Ramatra to close it out this series. I think that someone was a really good player, and you could see the emotion in the cameras when they won the match. Someone, such a fun player to follow.
I mean, you could feel that the whole team was so invested in this. They care so much. I mean, that is the type of intensity that could take you a long way in a tournament format. I think that's how you got to play. You got to put everything on the line, have so much emotion invested in it. I think for Florida, they could be a scary team to go up against, regardless of other teams qualifying with higher seeds.
Absolutely. Now the player that you just highlighted, RuPaul, is actually ready for a winner's interview. So let's hear it from the man himself. RuPaul, thank you so much for joining us, and a huge congratulations.
Let's go!
You guys made it. You guys are going to South Korea.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's amazing.
Let's talk about this match, because obviously this was a rematch, right? And the first time around, you guys went down 0-3. We don't want to talk about that, but surely that has influenced your preparation a little bit. What was the game plan coming into today's match against the Gladiators?
I mean, for the first match, we were actually really confident going in, but on that day, we, as a team, we just weren't working together at all. And we had a long talk afterwards, and we bounced back with shock, and then we've been on a roll since then, just working together and trying to improve all our weaknesses. And so for the match today, we were super confident, we prepared well, we knew what they were going to play, and I feel like they didn't expect us to roll out on the Moira again, because they beat us on it last time. So I think that was also really big for us.
Yeah. I want to look forward ahead just a little bit. You guys are, of course, going to Korea, and you guys will be, I think your first opponent is the Hangzhou Spark. So I want to get your thoughts on, I guess, Hangzhou Spark or the East in general, and can you tell me why the West is better?
Yeah, honestly, I don't even know who's on that team, but I think they're probably pretty good. They're like one of the two best teams in the East, the two that made it out of knockouts or whatever. So I expect a good match, and the Eastern teams, they play a lot of dive. Not as much like rush like the West does, but I think we're one of the best dive teams, so that's not really a problem for us at all.
I guess I just want to ask about this day. I mean, this is an incredible day for you guys, for the Florida Mayhem. Making it now, qualifying to the tournament in Korea, it's huge. But this is a very long day. I mean, this was 10 maps of like match intensity. Was there ever a moment when Gladiators started to turn things around and forced you guys to a map 5 where you were like sweating? I mean, it's like at some point, right, you've been calling hard for all day long. It's different than a scrim, right? So how did you feel going into map 5 when you guys started to pick it up on map 5? Like, what was tell me what those emotions were like for you.
Yeah, so we went 2 up, and then they took us to Shambali, and that was like the matchup or the map that we were like, yeah, they're pretty good at this map, and we're pretty bad at it. So, you know, it was, when we lost that, it was like, okay, whatever. Now we get to go to our